Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming bigger things, wanna leave my old life behind. Not a guessing, not a the box with the mold, haven't seen it before. Took a number, I was like, hey, before the thunder.
Hello and welcome to the Pepsi Center. I am Matt Smith for Mile High Sports. Thank you very much for tuning in. Well, a disappointing effort tonight for the Nuggets as they fall to Philadelphia 107-102. They have now dropped back-to-back games, and boy, tonight's was in bad fashion. Philly rallies from down 14 about halfway through that third quarter and comes away with the win. The Nuggets in the calendar year of 2017, they will fall to 19-17, just 2 games over 500, and tonight, like I said, disappointing fashion for the Nuggets. Definitely should have been a win. After the first half, this was a back and forth game. Quick pace to it, 61-58. The Nuggets led after the first 2 quarters of play. The Nuggets had 4 in double figures. Murray, Harris, Barton, and Lyles. Denver shot 52% from the floor, but the 3 ball was an area of concern tonight for Denver. Just couldn't make shots. 7 of 32 on the night. They shot 26% from the 3-point line in that first half and finished the game shooting 21% from 3 overall. 61-58, that 3-point lead at half. Then right out of the gate in the third quarter, you thought, okay, here comes the Nuggets. They're trying to put away a team they should be beating at home. And after an 11-0 run early in that third quarter, we thought that was where this game was headed. Well, Philly came back with an 11-0 run of their own immediately after that, and it didn't stop there. They cut it back to, like I said, the 11-0 run from Philly responding to Denver's. They cut it to 72-69. Philly trailed by 3. Well, in total, Philadelphia went on a 33-8 run after getting outscored 11-0 in the first few minutes of that third quarter, and they won tonight behind some really, really bad third quarter defense from the Nuggets. And after the game, Nikola Jokic was asked about what went wrong tonight. He said he felt they lost focus, and this game, he said, wasn't lost in the final seconds. We lost the game in the third quarter. Like I said, Denver outscored 49-30 over the last 19 and a half minutes of this game. Not going to cut it against a Sixers team that can shoot the ball. They certainly did that in the second half. Philly very proficient offensively. Jared Bayless was big. Rashawn Holmes had some moments. Thought TJ McConnell was instrumental, but more than anything, the Nuggets' lack of defensive focus once again down the stretch, I felt was a definite issue for this team. And after starting 19-15, their best 34-game start since 2010, they have now dropped their last 2 in a row and certainly do not end the calendar year on a high note. Murray tonight, 31 points, 8 rebounds. Nikola Jokic, 19 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Gary Harris, 17 points, 5 steals. Trey Lyles, again, very good in the month of December, 16 points, 8 rebounds. Will Barton, I thought, also tonight had some good moments, but he was one of those Nuggets that could not execute down the stretch. He had a shot when the Nuggets were down 3, 103-100, with about 36 seconds left, I believe. Wide open, couldn't knock it down, and Denver could not execute and climb back in. They would have needed some missed free throws from Philly. Not their night tonight. 2017 wraps up for the Denver Nuggets, and I think on overall pretty good for this team who, coming into this year, it was playoffs or bust. They go out and sign Paul Millsap, and of course, the 13 games of the season, Millsap goes down. Nuggets, 14 games. Nuggets were 9-5 before the Millsap injury. And what we said when Paul Millsap went down, well, it seems like the Nuggets would need to hover around that 500 mark until he could return right after the All-Star break from what we've now heard since then. Then maybe they could have a shot to really make the playoffs 6, 7, 8 seed. Well, right now the Nuggets sit in the 6th seed in the Western Conference, 3rd in their own division, and since that Millsap injury, they are 10-11. Of course, they've lost their last 2. So staying around 500 is exactly what the Nuggets have done lately. And oh, by the way, Nikola Jokic missed, I think, 6, 7 games with injury as well, in addition to Millsap. So the Nuggets had to band together and play shorthanded, and some nights things are going to go your way, and some nights they're not. I thought tonight may have been one of those nights for the Nuggets. Things just didn't fall their way. What I liked in 2017, they were taking care of the ball much better at the end of the season than they were to start this year. They're rebounding at a higher clip. They won on the glass tonight, I think, by 8. Jamal Murray, in my opinion, at least through the month of December, consistently on a nightly basis, has come around. He's arrived. I mean, Jamal Murray is now a guy you can count on a consistent basis. I don't want to jump the gun on that one, but it really feels like his game is now to the level where he's extremely comfortable, specifically offensively. He does have a ways to go here, especially defensively, but Jamal Murray is showing why this Nuggets front office held on to him in the offseason. Gary Harris, I thought, has been the Nuggets' most consistent player on a night-to-night basis for the most part through the first 36 games. He has proved, in my eyes, that he was worth every penny of that $84 million contract. Tonight, did some really good things in that first half. Of course, 5 steals for him. You know, I think that there's ups and downs with Gary, and he seems to only keep getting better. From a scoring perspective, I think we could start to expect Gary to contribute a little bit more on a nightly basis, maybe 20 a game. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities for Gary Harris in his development. But with Jamal Murray and Gary Harris cementing themselves as the backcourt of the future through the first 3 months of the season, that's a good sign for this Nuggets team, who was playoffs or bust and still is for all intents and purposes. But losing Paul Millsap, you had to rely on some of your younger guys to step up and contribute, and they certainly have done that. Trey Lyles, obviously the trade on draft night where the Nuggets wanted OG Anunoby, and then they moved down in that trade with Utah and I think they took Trey Lyles, and of course they drafted Tyler Lydon at that in the mid-20s there. But that was a trade that everyone critiqued pretty heavily before this season. I was certainly one of those people. Donovan Mitchell, of course, now with the Jazz from Louisville, you know, he seemed positionless, but boy, he has really turned into a heck of a player. That trade worked out for both teams. Trey Lyles has been very good in the month of December, 16 points, 8 rebounds tonight, and I think that his instant offense off the bench is so big for Denver, especially over the last month or so without Paul Millsap and without Nikola Jokic for stretches. You know, they needed some help in their front court, and they needed somebody to come in and knock down open shots, and Trey Lyles has certainly spaced the floor as that stretch 4. Overall, Coach Malone after this one said he likes the trajectory of this Nuggets team through 2017 so far. The rotation has also been trimmed down, which is something that we were extremely critical of last season and at times earlier this year. Emmanuel Mudiay, due to injury for the most part, in my opinion, and Kenneth Faried, healthy scratch, have pretty much fallen out of the rotation for all intents and purposes. Malone only played 8 guys again tonight, and I think that we're seeing this team start to figure out who their real role players are and who they can count on a nightly basis, which is a good thing moving forward for Denver. Cons for the Nuggets in 2017, injuries obviously. Paul Millsap with that left wrist injury. Nikola Jokic missed a good amount of time. Emmanuel Mudiay, Gary Harris on and off has dealt with some injuries, but they've battled through adversity pretty well, I think, on the whole. They're 19-17 and in the playoffs if the season were to end today. Late game execution, I think, is an area that the Nuggets need to continue working on. We thought that they finally had found that go-to guy in Paul Millsap, but of course that injury, and now it's back to, well, is it Will Barton? Is it Jamal Murray? Is it Gary Harris? Will Barton has been, I think, the guy that's gotten the most looks late in the shot clock when those situations have presented themselves, those clutch situations. I don't think Denver's done very well on the whole. You know, I think they're gonna have to win some of those games that they lost in the first half of this season if they want to make the playoffs. Let's preview 2018 for this Denver Nuggets team. 9 of 14 are at home. Huge. After having so many on the road in December, 10 of 15 on the road in December, the Nuggets now get back to the comforts of home and see if they can't build a little bit of momentum heading into February and eventually into the All-Star break. But you've got to take care of business at home if you're Denver in January. Now, the one weird part of the schedule is there are 4 back-to-backs in the month of January, which is not easy. But all 4 of them are home and road back-to-backs, where you're playing at home one night and you're on the road, you know, later that night and playing the next day. So, you know, dealing with getting into the hotel at a late hour and then finding a way to stay focused. I think tonight's game was a microcosm of one of the issues that Denver can have this season, which is staying focused, you know, for 4 quarters, really, and Nikola Jokic brought that up tonight. So we'll see what Denver does in January and how they respond. We thought there was some really good momentum, but to end 2017, a little bit of a sour note for the Nuggets. Of course, that this was the first of a 3-game homestand. The Nuggets now will face the Suns on Wednesday, and tonight's game, you really wanted this one because this was a stretch of 5 days with just 1 game. So, you know, like I said, Wednesday the Suns, the 3rd, 5th the Jazz, and then the Nuggets go back on the road. So a lot of opportunities to build in January. If the Nuggets can take advantage with 9 home games, we will see how they do. Of course, 107-102, they fall tonight to Philadelphia. Thank you for tuning in from the Pepsi Center. I am Matt Smith for Mile High Sports. Until next time, the happiest of New Year's to you and yours, and we will see you in 2018.